Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
And I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss, and thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do.
And do tech good. Boom.
Wow. Boom. We're doing tech. Hey, everybody. Just a quick reminder. We're going to be at the Front End Design Conference coming up here in April 25th through the 27th. Thank you, Brian, for the reminder. And we are going to be, it's going to be the 10th anniversary of the conference. And we're super excited. We're going to be live podcasting at the show. And we're actually giving away a ticket. Brian, is that right?
I think so. And I think, it's going to be 100% free. And all you have to do is retweet or tweet at us that you want it. And we're going to be doing a random drawing. Well, not random, randomized drawing on April 8th. No,
live on the
random.
show. So if you want the ticket, just tweet at us. Tell us you want the ticket, and the ticket possibly could be yours. Mm-hmm. Pretty nice deal.
And then you can meet us and you can see all the great people. And there's a really great lineup this year. So, definitely give it a go.
Yeah, and if you want a little preview, we got some of the guests that's been on the show that are going to be at the conference this year. And we just spoke to Dan Denny on Thursday. So we'll put a link in the show notes to that. Go back and watch that. So let's go ahead without any further ado and welcome our guest today. We have Senior Interaction Designer, Cheriana Griggs. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you for the welcome.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, and good to talk to you again. We used to work together way back in the day at an agency in Tampa.
Yeah, it feels like a really long time ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. I just feel like so much has happened in the last few years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've all been busy with our careers. And speaking of which, you were in Godaddy, right? That's where you used to work? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you worked there for quite a while, I think.
Yeah. So I lived in Tampa for about a decade. And then I was like, you know what? I think it's a good idea to move to the West Coast and sell all of my stuff and just try it. So I did that. And I was lucky enough to land a job at Godaddy. I was there for about 2.5 years, and it was a great experience.
That's awesome that you moved there without even having a job yet. You just said, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So
she's like, that may not have been that great. Starbucks was pretty nice to work at.
Have great benefits.
I know. Yeah. So it was actually really cool. So my company at the time in Tampa, Agile Thought, they were really, really cool. And they were just like, you know what, I went to them and I was like, you guys, like, it's been my dream to move out to California. For the tech industry, it's amazing. Like, I just think that I feel like that's where I need to be right now. And the owners were so supportive, and, they were just like, you know what, go follow your dream and we'll support you. And, you can stay on a contracting basis until you find your dream job out there. So I was really, really fortunate because I didn't, just sell all of my stuff and move out here penniless. Like I had the support of Agile Thought. So I contracted for a couple of months, and then I, landed a great job at GoDaddy. So it worked out perfectly.
That's awesome. There's this thing called remote working now, so that's possible.
It's still awesome that they allowed you to do that, because they totally could have been like, "Oh, you're leaving. We're not going to work with you at all. Get out of here. We're mad." But they were a good company and took care of you, so that's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think like that relationship that I had with the management there and the owners of that company, it was just great. Because a lot of companies wouldn't trust you, to work remotely like that, especially being on a different time zone, But I mean, I'm not going to say that it was super easy, right? Like I was waking up at like 5 a.m. and like jumping on East Coast time, phone calls, for stand-up. So but it was great. And, a lot of companies are working that way. I mean, from what I hear, Envision is mostly remote. I don't think they even have like a home office.
They have multiple offices, and I think they have one in London. They have one over there. I think there's one in New York. But most of the team is remote. I've talked to a few people. We talked to Brandon Kearns, was it, Frederick, we spoke to, that used to work for him. I think he works for Google Yeah, Google's swallowing everyone. Speaking of Google,
yeah, we've talked to, I think, about like 5 people in the last few months that work at Google now.
Yeah,
there's a lot of us. I mean, yeah.
And it makes sense too, I think, for remote work where you could spool from a larger pool of talent rather than restrict yourself from what you have geographically around you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, times are just changing too, like people want more flexibility with how they work, and they, want, to live how they want to live. And yeah, I think it's really cool that companies are, flexible.
Yeah.
So do you mind telling us a little bit about GoDaddy and what that was like, and how you went from working remotely to getting that hire?
Yeah. So when I moved here to San Francisco, it took me about 3 months before I landed the job at GoDaddy, and I swear it was rough. Like I came from Tampa, and I felt like I was, working at the best of the best company. And I was like, there's nowhere else to go from here except for San Francisco. Let's go to Silicon Valley. So when I got here, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much competition. Like the portfolios of the designers around here are amazing, especially like a lot of the new grads too. I am so impressed with the talent. There's just, impeccable thinkers, and just a lot to be said about the talent. So I reached out to a couple of old friends that I had, and one of my friends was a Y Combinator graduate, and so he sent out my resume to a bunch of to that mailing list, and I swear I went on like 30 different interviews, and it was rough. Like I went on these like 8-hour long, like all day interviews in different offices. And it was just like, man, when am I going to get my break? And the deal with GoDaddy was I actually met, I went to a meetup, and I met my future boss there. And it was like a mentoring session, and, he was, from GoDaddy, and below on his like name tag, it said enterprise UX. And so I was like, tell me about enterprise UX. Like, how does enterprise UX differ from, UX in general or whatnot? And so we started getting in a conversation, and he was like, you know what? I like the way that you think, come in for an interview. And so after I landed the job, it was just really cool. I actually had another offer at that time too, with a startup. So it was like totally different than GoDaddy. But what intrigued me about GoDaddy was the fact that they really cared about small business owners. And my entire career, even before, like when I was, freelancing in college, and even in high school, I was freelancing with small business owners. And I really felt for them because they have a different kind of struggle, right? And I feel like there's a lot of people who would be willing to like take advantage of them, right? I'm like, hey, I'll build you a website for like $5,000, and then like, oops, actually, I didn't anticipate this, so I'm gonna tack on an extra whatever. So like we've all heard those horror stories, right? And like I worked with so many small business owners that just like they were so great at what they did, and they were so passionate about their idea, and they just like needed a little help to be successful online. And so that was what GoDaddy was all about. When I started, they had a website builder product that was in its 7th version, and it was super antiquated, and it was super difficult to use. It had like a million features, but like no wonder people were going to Squarespace or Wix or Weebly, right? Because it was just like there was a lot there. And so they needed to totally revamp it. And I helped out in that effort and helped build it from the ground up. So I did the onboarding for what's now called Go Central. And did a lot more while I was there.
Yeah, in a whole, I would say in the past maybe 5-ish years, GoDaddy's design has changed from being 1990 to, hey, we're a tech company now.
Dude, totally, totally.
Yeah, big change.
Yeah,
for
we've like it
sure.
for a while.
Yeah, and that, you know what, I'll be the first person to say, and even from the day I was hired, I knew that going to GoDaddy wasn't going to be like the easiest thing, right? It's not like going to Airbnb and being like, yeah, like I'm a designer at Airbnb. Like that's badass, right? Because they're already known for great design. GoDaddy, like they've had their struggle, you know, as a lot of companies do. And I've seen their design and, you know, just go leaps and bounds from where it was. And I'm really proud to have worked there and to help be part of that effort. Because it was like a big ship that you were trying to move the opposite direction. You know, it's not easy. It's not an easy job, and it's not easy to change, you know, the brand perception. It's not just the marketing and advertising team. It's the UX team, and it's a whole effort, right?
The thing is too, they still haven't changed their brand. Like they changed so much of their identity from illustrations and graphics, but that weird GoDaddy logo is still the same.
Dude, I know, but there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. And trust me, like I know, I helped organize a lot of events at the SF office, and I really like helped to build the team there. And I would go to, you know, Grace Hopper and all these other big conferences, and yeah, like even just like the t-shirts and the like giveaways, you know, it was always like, oh, can we just take the head off of it? Just take the head off, and like the new font is like on point, you know. You know, this giveaway is super, but like get rid of the head. But I mean, people recognize it. People recognize it in the US. I think it's 80% brand recognition for that. And so there's a reason why they couldn't drop it.
Makes sense. But still,
maybe they could slowly, like within a year or two,
off, like one hair.
Make the hair. Yeah, exactly. Just transition into something else.
Yeah.
Give him a beard. Like give him a beard. Make it more hipstery.
Take that hair from the top and go. Yeah.
That would be awesome. Yeah. I know. It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
That. I think you brought up a good point too within that narrative about meeting your current or your former employer at a meetup. A lot of people don't think about meetups as those kind of opportunities to find a job.
Yeah. And honestly, I wasn't going there looking for a job. Obviously, like I was going on all of these other interviews. I just was new to San Francisco, and I just wanted to get out there, and I wanted to like meet other people, and I just wanted to be a part of the design community. And like, who doesn't want free food, free drinks, and to check out awesome offices like Yelp and Salesforce? You know, it was so cool. And you know, then maybe possibly like network, rub elbows with, you know, people who might be looking to hire.
Actual elbows instead of like virtual like things on Twitter.
Yeah, digital like. What were those things called on Facebook? The little pushes.
Pokes. Yeah,
I forgot about pokes.
Yeah, they did remove that. I wonder if it's still hidden somewhere. If you can like trigger a JavaScript query or something and cause someone to be poked. Yeah, networking is a big deal. People don't really realize how big it is, and I feel like even the younger crowd, they don't realize it as much because they're all networking on Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat.
Yeah, it's undervalued.
It's very different than going and shaking a hand and, you know, having them see your face in person, and, you know, having that one-to-one talk where you basically convinced him in the conversation that, hey, this person's worth the time to move them in to, you know, an interview. And you know.
Right. Yeah. So like going back to like what I was saying about, you know, just being super impressed by all of the designers and the competition in this area, it's like super hard to stick out, right? It's super hard to stick out, especially when you have people who've worked at like these big brands, you know. And here I was coming from Tampa, you know, which I worked for great companies in Tampa, but nobody knew about them, you know. Like everyone, like I felt like I didn't really have a chance with people who at least had like an internship at Apple, or, you know, I have a lot more experience, but I didn't have those big brand names. So yeah, getting out there and having FaceTime was a huge thing. And it's something that I brought to the GoDaddy design culture. So we had a really hard time getting people to even like come and use our space. And I'd be like, hey, we'll pay for the food, we'll pay for the drinks, like, you know, and we'll host like this awesome party. All you guys got to do is like host your design meetup here. And it was hard to break in, right? Because people were like, GoDaddy design, I don't know, you know, and I was like, I feel you, but just try us, you know, because we're good people and we give a shit. And yeah, so I ended up having a bunch of different groups host meetups there. We had Nir Eyal come and speak about his book, Hooked, for one meetup, and it was awesome. Yeah, very good book. Yeah, meetups are.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, meetups are definitely like a great way to network, get out there, and you know, meet some new friends. But you know, just talk about, you know, what you're working on, or maybe even find a new job.
Yeah, because it's not always about who has the best portfolio or the best work. It's about making actual human connections, right? It's about, you know, do I actually want to work with you? Do I want to spend 8 hours a day with you, whether that's, you know, actually in an office or conversing with you via Slack? Like, you want to have somebody that, you know, you're going to have good juju with.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's huge, right? And like you know, the interview process is rough, right? Like every company does it differently. But some people just aren't great at phone interviews. Sometimes you just can't get like a feel for like, you know, how passionate they are about something, or like, you know, there's nerves involved in everything too. So I feel like with meetups, it's more of like a chill way to like, you know, not be so stressed out or nervous about the situation, you know, and just get to know people and get a feel for what they care about and you know, what they're looking for.
Yeah, I can say my company that I know of has hired at least 3, maybe 4 people in development from various dev meetups. So it's definitely, I feel like it's actually a major place of where we do hire people. Yeah, and just to kind of put another call out to the front end conf that's coming up. That's another good place that you can, you know, meet and engage with people.
Conferences.
Yeah, conferences. It's sad that a lot of the after gatherings are usually beer oriented or liquor oriented, but you can still go and hang out with people, talk to them, and not necessarily engage in that if that's not your thing. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to do that.
Does front end conf still have the chocolate covered bacon and chocolate milk at break?
They have a lot of those things. Yeah, they have phenomenal food.
Yeah. All the local food places are amazing, and they bring it in.
You know, and just to append to that point that you're talking about with people getting jobs at these conferences, there's this designer guy that I know of that we had on the show. You probably won't remember his name. Is Chris Courier or something like that. Anyway, he got a job from speaking at one of these conferences where he met some of the people at WooFoo. So that was interesting. Yeah, Corey, that was his last name.
Courier. He's always so bad at pronouncing names.
I am horrible with it. Courier? I don't know. Anyway, so now you went from a more of a director position, I guess, to a IC, an individual contributor, right?
Yeah. So I spent.
You work at a small company, right? Now that's very small.
You probably haven't ever heard of it. Yeah. It's very small.
Google. Yeah. The silent G.
Yes. You pronounced it correctly.
Google.
So yeah, it's definitely a change, right? So like,
how did you move from GoDaddy to that though? Were you applying at the time, or did someone kind of like grab you in the hall and whisper in your ear?
Cheriana.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did we lose her?
Sorry, I accidentally pressed mute.
Oh.
Yeah. So what was the question again? How did I get there?
Yeah. How did you actually get there? I still imagine that Google just like grabs people in the hall, whispers in their ear, like meet us at 5.
They throw them in a van and drive away with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very similar experience to that. There was like a secret key involved actually in a
Ooh,
handshake
nice.
that I had to
Oh,
learn.
nice.
Yeah.
She just showed it to us, guys.
No, that was the Delta Gamma handshake that I did.
Oh, okay.
It's my sorority. Um, no, so yeah, it was a huge change, right? Like going from a management position back to individual contributor. Although at GoDaddy, I did a lot of IC work still,
Mhm.
which was it was super difficult, right? Like because when you have the responsibilities of like building and managing a team, and then also being responsible for producing a lot of work on top of that, it was tough. Oh, were you pointing at yourself?
Yeah, well, yeah, I do that too. Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, it's tough. It's great because you get, both sides of things. But I've always felt in my career that um, I love to teach other people, what I've learned, and as much as, I can. Like my first management job, I, you know, taught my designers how to, code and what CSS was and how to do different things, and it was super gratifying. And at a certain point, I felt like I didn't have anything else to teach them, and they were far surpassing like
Pupil
me.
surpassed the master.
And I was like, yes, go get it. Like I was so proud of them. And so I just felt like, it was time for me to move on and find my next challenge. And it was very much that same way this time. Um, and yeah, I built a great team at GoDaddy, and it was a well-oiled machine, and they were doing a great job. And I wasn't finding that I was stimulated. And my personality is, I always crave to like grow and learn and do more and be better and create better. And I wasn't getting that anymore. It was kind of like I, was the manager in the office, and that was great. But I don't thrive on necessarily being the leader. I thrive on, you know, learning and growing and doing better. So, anyways, that's why I switched to an IC role.
So you actually pursued the roles, and when you were at a point
No,
at Go, no, okay,
no,
they did reach out to you then,
they did.
or do you not want to tell us?
No, they did. So they actually, they reached out, and at the time I had just hired like 3 new designers on my team, and I felt really responsible for them. So, I declined the offer to interview. But um, uh, a couple of months later, they came back around, and I was like, you know
look at all
what?
this
Like,
money.
yeah.
Money's nice.
I was like, but no, I looked at it and I was like, maybe this is a sign. Like maybe it's, and I had honestly, like I hadn't felt like I had been growing for a long time, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check this out and see what the opportunity is, and it turned out to be a great opportunity. And ironically, at the same time, Facebook had also reached out to me, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check out what their opportunity is too. And so I went through the interview process, and yeah, I ended up going to Google, obviously.
So, one thing I'm curious about is what you have. Do you have an iPhone or an Android?
Oh gosh. Yes. So I am currently talking to you on an iPhone. Yeah,
Okay.
so I've switched back and forth. Yeah, no, I've switched back and forth like over the years.
I think we all have. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I think that makes you a better
Except for
designer.
Frederick.
Not me, no. I thought when you go into Google, they slap it out of your hand. They just no.
No.
You use it.
Yeah, there's actually like some sort of like electrical signal that fries your iPhone if you walk in.
Like an EMT,
Yeah.
but just for the iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not that intense. Actually, it's really cool. No, I think it's important to understand your users, and understand different operating systems. And I, in the past have, done coding, styling for Android apps. And, it's been a few years since I've done that. So coming into the situation, I definitely, was a little bit worried, that I was, behind on my Android knowledge. But yeah, no, it's super cool. Like, I've been studying up, and yeah, it's cool to see how Android is in emerging markets too. So.
Oh, you're all, yeah, video died for a second. Yeah, they've really, it's very much a different, Android is very different than it was like back in like what 2000 or early mid 2000s. Yeah, before material design, it's so much different. And what I'm curious about too is, now that you're at Google, I know you can't, there's certain restrictions what you could share, but is the culture at Google similar to what we've heard, where everyone's building like Lego, I don't know, like roller coaster rides and trains and
can I append to Brian's question too? And who's that guy with the shirt and tie that says Google on it next to you?
Oh my gosh, you guys are hilarious. What can I say about the culture at Google? It's amazing. So I'm still a noogler. Oh shoot, I should have brought my hat out here. My little noogler hat.
Noogler?
That would have been great for this. Yeah,
you have to wear a hat.
Yeah. Well.
Oh geez.
For 6 months. Hey, what's that noogler? People giving noogies when they walk by.
No, you don't have to wear them, but like I was pretty proud to wear it. It's like freaking awesome. It's a rite of passage,
Why does it say dunce on the side of it?
Dunce. Those are different hats. Those are the
you have pointy hat. Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
Yep. Yeah, but like the culture is awesome. I can't say enough about it. I thought that GoDaddy had an amazing culture, but it's very different, and it's a little scary because there's a lot of smart people, like ridiculously smart people around you every day. And I'm like, sometimes I get, imposter syndrome, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Do they know who I am? Did they really hire me? Like, oh my gosh, this is scary. But then you take a step back, and it's just like, it's cool. Like the work-life balance is amazing. And there's a lot of mutual respect on all the teams. And, I think that's what makes great teams, is like feeling like you're in a safe space and you can say dumb ideas, and it's okay, right? It's okay, because like great ideas sometimes come from, feeling like it's okay to say the dumbest things.
Yeah, because sometimes the best idea. Sometimes the best idea comes from on top of a tower, bad ideas.
We're all excited about it, wanting to say at the same time, you are so... But yeah, I mean, just talking through an idea. Like, if someone says something stupid, that's fine, because then, I mean, it's not really stupid because you're so I said that all wrong, but
you said that's stupid.
Yeah, I said that's stupid. I feel bad now. No, you're like thinking through the problem, and nothing is really stupid because you're continuing a thought and like getting the thought process going, and that they agree with that and want you to do that. That's great. That's how companies should be. I'm curious. Do people walk around with and use pixel books at all there? I know you can't. I'm curious if you actually see them around there.
Books?
Yeah. Yeah, the pixel books. The Google pixel books. Do you actually see them around the office a lot, or no? Or in your area?
Yeah. I mean, you see a lot of different types of devices. You see every type of device.
She's like, there's all sorts of ones, including top secret ones I can't talk about. The guy's right behind me.
Did you see the guy?
The Apple Newton, yeah.
The Apple Newton, yeah.
I love my Apple Newton. I use it every day.
So speaking about cool things, though, I went to the SF MoMA the other day, and they actually have an exhibit right now that's called Designed in California.
Cool.
And it goes throughout, decades, and it's like all the different cool things that, were made here in California. And they cover like the Eames kind of chairs and like everything that they brought to design. And then it was just really cool because they have material design in there.
Oh, really?
And
That's
it's
interesting.
actually like the, construction paper kind of cutout icons that the team put together out of, material. So the material design was in there, and then also the Google Home. So that was a really cool thing too. So yeah, it's
really
cool to see that in the MoMA.
Huh.
Wow.
And the MoMA's in San Francisco, which happens to be on the West Coast. This is a bad segue,
well,
but I'm talking about
West.
If you're visiting,
where are you going with that, Brian?
I'm going to the Mentor at West, Join West, women entering and staying in tech thing that you're involved in.
Oh, Cheriana, you have something you're involved with that in some way?
I am, yes.
That was a horrible segue.
So, yeah, so West, joinwest.org is women entering and staying in technology. And yeah, it's a great group. It was started by Heidi Williams, who was VP of Engineering at Box. And yeah, it's a way for women to get mentorship from other women in tech. And we put on a lot of different events throughout the Bay Area, different panels and workshops and talks, ways to network with others. And yeah, I think it's just really important to support women in these roles. And there's been a lot of reports released from all the big tech companies, and GoDaddy was like super great at releasing their numbers too. But women in tech roles don't really compare to women or men in tech roles. Like we're such a small percentage. So it's been a really big part of my career to hopefully support other females and feeling like you can do this. These roles are for you too, and like you've got the support behind you. And so West is just one of the ways that I'm involved in that. And yeah, I'm a mentor for West, and then I also am on their working group. So it's like walking people through the Twitch office the other night at a meetup. Bringing them to the food, and that was my role for the night. Like, here's the entrance, here's the food. So.
And one interesting thing I learned recently, last week, I tried to talk about it on the last show, but I couldn't remember where I read it, and I have a link now. But apparently, Tampa St. Pete ranks number one for best city for women entrepreneurs.
Dang.
Ooh.
Beating Silicon Valley, which I'm still kind of surprised that Silicon Valley is number 2, because I've heard a lot of bad things about it. It's actually the St. Petersburg Economic Development Corporation. So, and it's based on this big survey thing that has been done. But yeah, they have there's a bunch of cities actually in Florida that are on there, but Seattle's number 3, which that's awesome. Go Tampa.
Yeah. There was so much happening in Tampa when I left.
Linda did some things. What's that? I think we talked about last show. Linda, what'd she do again, Frederick? You remember?
No, I don't.
I love your honesty. It's so great. You're like, back to you.
I remember us talking about it, but I don't remember you bringing up a point like that.
Yeah, I was on. I think Danny, right? Yeah, Danny brought it up, but talking about she started some startup thing. But I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were talking about some things that you experienced while you're here or witnessed. You're saying something
in Tampa.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, it was just great. Like, the tech scene was growing. I left in 2015, and yeah, it's crazy. Like, I feel like there's, a lot happening in that area right now. So it's really great to see.
Yeah, I could see that you still really enjoy Florida because you're wearing a Florida locket on your necklace, right?
No, it's California.
Awkward.
That's actually California trying to look like Florida.
Yeah, is it like twisted the other way or something like that? One of the other things I wanted to ask you about was you're also involved in World AI Day.
Well, I want to hear a little bit more about Join West.
I bet you do.
Well, yeah, I'd like to know a little more about the initiatives that they're doing and what.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, there's a lot of different networking events and things that you can go to around the Bay Area, and they're always held. Like the last one we had was at Twitch, and it was a panel discussion about just how to keep up with your goals throughout the year, and whether that's professionally or personally. And then like West as an organization. If you want to be a mentor, it's free to be a mentor. And so West is basically, you can totally go to joinwest.org right now. You can sign up. I can't say that they'll accept you, but
I would love to mentor.
They'd love to have you as a mentor. Love to have you as a mentor. Yeah. So, it's free to be a mentor. Always looking for amazing mentors, male, female, doesn't matter. We just want you, if you have, a passion for helping others and helping others succeed in tech, definitely sign up to be a mentor. And then from the mentee side, there's a lot of mentees that come from our sponsor companies. So they're, GoDaddy was a sponsor in the past. Goodreads, Udemy. I mean, there's just a ton of companies that have sponsored that help out with West. But beyond that, you can go on to Join West and you can sign up to find a mentor. And what it is a 6-month partnership. And it's really driven by the mentee. So you kind of, you get matched with someone, with a mentor that, not only hopefully can, has the strengths that you're looking for. So for example, if you're looking to kind of strengthen your management skills, or you're looking to really develop more process, or better your processes at work, or whatever it is that you're looking for, they match you with a mentor that has those strengths. But then they also kind of look to match you with someone who shares some of your outside goals too, right? So if you're an avid runner, they might match you with someone who, shares the same.
Can run and talk about design and tech.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really cool. My last mentee, we both loved getting outside and hiking. So I think that they do a really great job at matching. And then you have a 6-month period where, it really depends on how you want your partnership to go with your mentor. But yeah, it's really driven by the mentee, and you set your goals, and you can check in, as frequently as weekly or monthly, and then there's.
So sorry to interrupt, but I want to understand exactly. So is it basically you are a new designer or a new female developer or new anything, or even existing, you just want to grow?
Any role in tech, sales, HR.
But is it a new? Is the mentee generally someone who's new to the field? No. Oh, okay.
You can be at any level.
Okay, that's interesting.
And the mentors, range from all different levels too. So, really they try and match you with someone that has the skill set that you're looking to acquire or work on, and who can help you with your goals. So, yeah, I mean, I think mentorship at any stage of your career is super important.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anything in particular that they're beyond just mentoring that they're trying to address, in specific problems that the organization has seen in the industry that they're trying to help change, I guess?
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously there's a huge issue with having women progress in their career in tech beyond just, entry roles, and getting into more management roles, and not just entry management roles, but what happens after that, So yeah, I mean, that's a big focus. But again, West in general is to support all women in all tech roles. And, as I said before, the mentors aren't just, women, they're also men and from great companies. So.
And the minimum engagement is 6 months. Can it go longer than that if you find somebody that you really connect with?
Yeah, it's a good question.
I mean, you can always stay in contact with them. The partnership is 6 months. I haven't come across the situation where like, you know, it's extended beyond that. So like basically it's also based off of the Everwise platform. So you have access to that for 6 months after your partnership ends. So you can definitely, you know, use all of those resources. And you know what, like a partnership is about like building that that trust and that relationship, and like feeling like you have someone that like you can talk to, and you know, that's trustworthy and gives you great advice, and on both sides, right? Like mentors and mentees both gain a lot from each other. So yeah, I mean, like if you have a great partnership, you can, you know, obviously stay in contact with your mentor or mentee for as long as you want.
Yeah, I had a funny thought when you said 6 months. It's like 6 months. So I mean, they're together constantly for 6 months. But no. I realize that's not that. I realize that's not the what you actually meant. It's a 6 month period where you're focused on.
You're working towards the mentee's goals, right? Correct. And like if they say, I really need help building strategic, you know, vision, then okay, let's work on that. Let's like really define these goals, figure out how we're going to measure them, and figure out like how will you feel like you're successful, or how will you be successful at the end of the 6 months? You know, how will you know that you've accomplished those goals? So that's a big part of it. But yeah, again, like every partnership is different.
Do you mind if I ask you how you got involved with the organization?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. How did I get involved?
Did you actually apply for mentorship, or did you actually apply to be mentored?
No, neither. So actually, while I was at Godaddy, I joined the Godaddy Women in Tech group and became the local chapter lead for the San Francisco office. And through that, you know, I was on an emailing list, and they were, you know, talking about different events and conferences you can go speak at and different things. And West was one of them, and West was having a panel discussion, and they needed speakers. And I was like, you know what? That scares the shit out of me. I don't like.
I'm gonna go do that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, so that's exactly what happened. Just like exactly, you know, how I moved across the country. I was like, that's really super scary. Let's do it. And it turned out really well. So yeah, so I spoke on a panel for them. And I met the founder, Heidi, and she was amazing and inspiring. And I was like, you know what, how can I help out? How can I be a part of this? So yeah, that's kind of how I got involved. And then from there, I joined the working group, and I helped out with the website, and yeah, that's that.
Right on. So we're getting close to the end of the show, unfortunately. And before we move to that, though, is there anything additional you want to talk about with Join West, or are we?
And also, let's ask just to for people how if you are interested in West, where do you go to sign up? What's the address?
Go to joinwest.org. And yeah, there's a lot of information on there, whether you need a mentor, or you want to become a mentor for women in tech, or you are a company and you want to sponsor. That is an amazing organization, and I highly recommend it. And if you're in the Bay Area, come out to our next event.
And we will have the link in the show notes for everyone too. So just check the show notes, and it'll be there.
Sweet.
So we have a few final questions. One of them is a kind of a group question, group spotlight, and it's a little different than it's typically been in the past. It's going to be more of a personal question. In this case, I'm going back to the one I'm going to do actually the same one, and mine will be my usual, which Frederick probably knows. What's something that affects you on an emotional level, or makes you, it can be anything, can be something that makes you happy, something that makes you sad, something that you're interested in sharing. You're muted, so I don't know if you're hearing me, but
no, I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to run and get my charger.
Oh, no problem, no problem. I'm gonna go first, followed by Frederick, and then you. Mine is going to be something that makes me incredibly happy. Is Alton Brown's meatloaf. Every time I make it, I eat it, and I'm filled with extreme joy. I highly recommend making it, and your life will be better and change forever. Frederick.
Alton Brown's meatloaf.
That's really your answer to that. It's something that
yes, it is.
Can I follow that up?
Because I'm really hungry.
Yeah.
I'm really hungry right now.
I'd like to follow up your response. So one thing that makes me super happy, and all of my coworkers know this, I absolutely love karaoke, and my favorite song to sing at karaoke is Meatloaf. I would do anything for love.
Oh, God.
And it's a 7-minute song, and everyone gets so pissed at me at the bar. They're always like, gosh, this girl, like, does she really, what? This is 7 minutes. Come on, it's my turn. And I'm like, I will do anything for love.
Have you heard him since, like, in the recent
No, I think that's
do not.
honestly,
just don't do it. Don't listen to it. He did. I saw a video of him performing at a football or baseball, doing the
talking about a sport game.
Just singing
with the ball?
Singing the national anthem. There you go. Words frozen head, and yeah, it was bad. Don't see him in recent times. But anyway, Frederick.
Oh, I'll answer any question, but I won't answer that.
What? No, that's not an answer. That is not going to work. What is something that makes? Come on.
I thought that was perfect.
Well, I think it is that. You know, it always makes me really happy to get guests on the show that I've know in the past, that I worked with in the past. So it brings me joy to have you on the show, Cheriana. It's great to talk to you again.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed working with you, and I think you're a very intelligent individual, and really respect you and what you do, and happy to have you on.
Wow, is she blushing?
Wow, I know.
Sorry, too honest? Too much here?
No, it goes both ways. Thank you so much. I really appreciate, you reaching out and the opportunity to be here on your show.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Really appreciate you coming and sharing with us. So, the last set of questions we have, is called Rapid Fire. Pow, 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 pow. So we're going to ask you some things that are very random, things that you are up to, and things that we just didn't get to in the doc, actually, because we had a lot to talk about, and time just goes really quickly. So 1 hour, just like that, and we're almost there. So I'll start off the rapid fire quickly. Cheriana, what was the one thing I wanted to ask you about that I didn't get to ask you? Your involvement in World AI Day.
Yes. Are these one word?
Yeah, 1 minute. Go.
No, they're quick rapid fire questions.
Okay. So in Tampa, it started in Tampa. I don't know. I think I found out about it from a meetup, and I was like, what? Information architecture? That's freaking cool. I want to be involved. And so, yeah, I helped out with their social media. And then I came here to San Francisco, and they didn't have World AA Day. And I was like, what? How does Tampa Bay have World AA Day? But San Francisco doesn't. What? This is crazy. And then ironically, that next year it got started, and then I got involved here, and I've helped out with the social media here. And then this last year, I was the global director of social media for World IA Day. So yeah, it's a super freaking amazing event, and it's organized. There was in 56 countries throughout the world, or 56 locations. And yeah, it's a great event. It spreads the love of IA and UX, and there's always amazing speakers, and it's so great to see the local organizers, and what they come up with. And yeah, it's a great event.
Super. We'll have a link in the show notes for people that are interested in finding out more. Favorite pizza toppings?
That's you. Favorite pizza toppings? That's a much smaller question.
Yeah. Pizza toppings. What do you like?
Toppings? It depends on my mood. I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Like just like pepperoni and black olive.
Favorite cartoon growing up as a kid?
Yeah, like I don't know. I guess Rugrats was cool.
Rugrats, all right. That's a very acceptable answer.
So what do you think about a person making a career at only one company and progressing through that company instead of bouncing from one company to another?
Do they own the company?
No.
No.
Because yeah, I don't know. Everybody has their own thing, you know. I personally have felt that I need exposure to different, you know, cultures and different, you know, experiences in order to, you know, figure out what it is that I'm looking for and what I need, right? But for some people, like, you know, working at one company and having that comfort or having, you know, that environment works for them. Different for everyone.
When was the last time you cried at work and why?
It was yesterday.
Yeah.
Mine was Friday. It was Brian, but go ahead.
I think like at my last job, I was upset by something that my boss said to me. And I was like, I can't. And so I like ran out of the building and cried and went on a walk around the block. Then I came back and I was like, nope, I'm okay.
I've done that. I mean, feel free to pass on any of these questions too. Let me just preface with that. Should have prefaced with that.
Favorite dessert?
Creme brulee. Also the name of one of my bikes.
What podcast are you currently listening to that's one of your favorites? Not the one you're on, obviously. That makes sense. But the favorite podcast that you're listening to recently?
I mean, there's a lot, but like
favorite
UX Radio, I like.
Jeez, calm down. What was it? UX what?
UX Radio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a great show.
What is a guilty pleasure of yours? Uh-oh. Did we lose her?
Carbohydrates? I don't know.
Carbohydrates? Sure, that's a good guilty pleasure.
I like that. That's fun.
Do Twitter followers matter?
Do you care about Twitter?
That's a good answer right there.
Oh.
Yeah, very acceptable. Brian?
Okay, some argue that remote jobs do not hold the same value to employers. Any thoughts on this?
I think we kind of talked about it before. Pass.
There we go. Good. Like it. All right, I'm all out of rapid fire. Brian, you got anything else?
Oh, no. Wow, you're like...
Your screen's all funny.
You're all purple.
I know. I'm like, I don't know what's happening with it. It's just like
Google heard you say something you shouldn't have.
Intercepted or something.
For our audio listeners, the screen's going a little bit funny, and yes, it's Google intercepting. They're like, "That's enough, of Cheriana. That's all you get." Oh, my other rapid fire question was going to be about why you hoard boxes, because there's a ton of boxes behind you, but we can't see that.
It's terrible, isn't it? Well, that's why the magenta's up on the screen. Really.
But you're moving, right? Yeah. Or you just moved?
So, yeah. There we go. It's back.
Magic.
No, I'm actually moving. I'm moving. Yeah. So I have a lot of boxes. I don't.
To New York City now?
No, not New York City. I'm staying in the Bay Area.
Bouncing around.
Yeah.
Brian, do you have any further rapid fire?
I would like to know if someone were to go to San Francisco, what would be a place you'd recommend for them to eat at?
Ooh.
Oh, she muted herself.
Great places. What is up with the? Okay, so
let me specify instead. Like a ramen or pho place.
Ooh, okay. Well, also so many great places.
For me.
But so I actually I love Japantown. And there's this place called Ramen Yamadaya, which is amazing. It's so good. It's right in Japantown. That's awesome. Also for sushi, Abisu in the Inner Sunset is like the best sushi that you will have. Like, it doesn't have Michelin stars or anything, but it is phenomenal.
Oh, I love some sushi.
Yeah.
You're making me hungry.
Yeah. I mean, meatloaf, sushi, like we're talking about a lot of food today. So.
I am hungry.
Yeah, I need to eat after this. So, any final words that you have for our audience? Any kind of words of wisdom that you want to behoove upon the world?
I would just say, like, the one thing that's helped me in my career, and that I'm really proud of is like doing things that scare the shit out of me. You know, like
moving across the United States,
selling all your stuff. Yes. Technically I still had a job, but it wasn't, it was contracting. And just like, you know, speaking on panels, getting up there, like moderating panels, like going to networking events, like even if you're not like an extroverted person, like anything you can do to like, you know, just get out there and show people that you're passionate about what you do and you're someone that you want or that they'll want on your team, or you're a good person to work with.
Yeah.
So do things that scare you. I think it works.
Great quote. Do things that scare you. Write a book about it now.
What's the best way people could get in touch with you, Cheriana, or learn about you and what you do?
Cheriana.com is probably the best way. That's my portfolio, but also, I'm basically Cheriana everywhere. So Cheriana on Twitter, Cheriana on Instagram, Cheriana on Facebook, Cheriana everywhere. So hello@Cheriana.com if you want to reach out.
Nice. I would like Cheriana everywhere.com too. That's a cool kind of address.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your day. And I mean, it looks like a gorgeous day out there on the other coast.
It is. It's so nice. It's nighttime for you guys.
Yeah, we're just about rounding off, rounding up to 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, thank you for spending your evening with me.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Fantastic.
Honestly. Yeah, super thanks for being on. Really appreciate it, Cheriana.